There comes a time in every series where certain aspects of it have either been bled dry or required creative means to remain as engaging as it was before. Sometimes these different approaches work, and other times, well, we see our favorite series go down in flames. It has been over 3 years since the release of Monstrum Nox, and with IX Nordics now released and Proud Nordics on the horizon, I have found it to be a game worthy of discussion now that the dust has settled. Whether you are a newcomer to the series or wanted to see what it was like before diving in yourself, there is a lot I would like to discuss. So with that being said, I want you to join me as I share my thoughts about this game to answer the most important question. Was IX Monstrum Nox good? To properly answer that question, I will be assessing the gameplay, the story, the voice acting, and its replayability, so let's begin. If you happen to be unfamiliar with the IX series, then worry not. One of the strongest points of it just so happens to be its flashy battle system. All fights take place in real time and boil down to just hack and slash. The majority of characters are quite nimble, so it's easy to cancel a combo if you need to dodge. Each character gets a generous number of skills, which can then be leveled up a few times with use. Each level up usually lowers the cost of that skill, improves its damage, and changes its animation. I thoroughly enjoy skill systems like these, as you can see and feel the growth of your character in real time. Hence why Tales of Grace's F has my favorite combat system of the Tales series. Anyways, in addition to the skills is a special attack gauge that fills up over time. This allows the player to go into a temporarily boosted state, increasing their overall damage output and giving access to their signature special skill. That about sums up the battle system across the majority of the series. It is supposed to be swift, flashy, and a lot of fun. I will admit that I do zone out sometimes playing these games, as basic battles are just mindless hack and slash from one monster to the next, but it is because of that lack of focus that I keep coming back for more. Not every game should require your 100% focus at all times, as this is meant to be a source of enjoyment and not a high stakes job. But do not get it twisted here. Chances are, if you zone out during a boss fight, you are going to get bodied. Please, ask me how I know. While combat is the same as it's always been, minus the new characters and animations, there's something else this installment does that the previous never committed to. What I am talking about here is the movement. We got some hookshot action, wall running, gliding, and floor diving. Now, these abilities do feel janky at first, but once you get used to them, it is everything I could ask for and more. With such a fast-paced battle system, to me, it is a no-brainer to add multiple avenues of mobility into the equation. The biggest impact this change has brought is on the environment. There is now a focus on verticality in them versus horizontally only. So kudos to Falcom for finally changing things up. Moving on to the story, it is here where I felt like they dropped the ball. The movement was a big step forward, but the setting and plot of Monstrum Nox was a step back for me after experiencing the Lacrimosa of Dana. Starting with the setting, the majority of the events that take place happen within the prison city of Balduque. Within that city, there are the Grimwald Nox, or portals, that transport you to other areas and dungeons. The whole plot, by the way, hinges on Balduque since Adol's curse binds him to it alongside the other monstrums. Monstrums is just fancy talk for people with supernatural powers, in case you did not know. I do not inherently think that having the plot revolve around Balduque is bad in itself, but more so just its execution. Chapter after chapter, area expansion after area expansion, it all just feels like gaining square feet in your bedroom and not the whole house. There's not a lot of variance in the required dungeons and Grimwald Nox. If you're going to lock me into a city, then make that thing bangin'. I want the red light district, an aquarium, a basketball court, you get my point. Switching over to the plot, it focuses on Adol and Dogi just like any of the other previous installments, but mainly on Adol and his curse that binds him to this particular city. Along the way, he meets others like him, aka the Monstrum, and together they work under Aprilis to hopefully break their respective curses. The story is spread out across 9 chapters, but it is not until the latter half that it begins to pick up. Overall, I felt detached regarding the story, but perhaps that was due to the meaty parts being saved for last. Speaking of last, the plot twist in this one hit me like a pillow to the face. I blame the game on this one though, as it hints towards it from the very beginning. I was also fed up with the game by the end of it, if I'm being honest, because of the constant revisits to the same damn prison seemingly once every chapter. These revisits were okay at first, but by chapter 4, I started to despise them because you go from, let's say, level 45 and throwing down at the playground to baby level 5 at all over and over again. At a minimum, you end up revisiting the same prison, 7 different times throughout the story. I say at minimum as that is what I count it, but I could be wrong. I understand that these recurring visits are important to the plot, however their excessive nature just left me annoyed. Sliding over to the voice acting, we have a couple of familiar faces here if you have been on my channel for a bit. Adol Kristen is voiced by Bryce Papenbrook, Dogi is voiced by Patrick Zietz, and Dahl is voiced by Erica Mendez. Some of the other newcomers are Hawk, who is voiced by Damon Mills.
Don't kid yourself, Belger. I hope you've said your prayers.
Also known as Weiss from Final Fantasy VII, and Frieza in the recent Dragon Ball games. There's also Raging Bull, who is voiced by Erica Harlacher.
I knew it. Then tell me. What are the Hieroglyph Knights even for?
And Aprilis, who is voiced by Dawn M. Bennett.
Since humans first walked the earth, they have defiled it with their evils. Hatred, sorrow, greed, despair. Each warping our perception of the world.
Overall, the cast is great. I enjoyed the performances of these characters and found that they fit quite well, at least in English. Lastly, let's talk about its replayability. When it's all said and done, it took me a little over 26 hours to roll credit, so it is neither short nor long. I did do some side quests here and there, but not all of them. There also happens to be a super boss you can fight once you have cleared out all the previous Grimwald Nox, but other than New Game Plus and a time attack mode, this game is slim pickings when it comes to keeping you busy post-game. But just like many other games, the biggest aspect of replayability just so happens to be the gameplay, and for this game, even with its improvements, it just isn't for me. If I could somehow skip the prison segments every chapter, it would be cool to revisit this game in the future, but honestly speaking, I'd rather load up the Lacrimosa of Dana or the OG Ys Origins if I wanted that authentic Ys taste. In conclusion, Monstrum Nox, while not perfect, does make great strides in bringing the Ys series into the future. The Monstrum addition to the combat is cool, and their gifts, which enable smooth movement in the environment, were just what the series needed to elevate it to the next level. When it comes to the story, Ys isn't known for wild tales that leave you in a puddle of your own tears, but loading this up after the Lacrimosa of Dana makes it feel like a step back. The music, which I did not bring up during this review, is still incredible, so no complaints there. And the same goes for the voice actors for the main crew. Whether you're a newcomer to the series or a veteran, Monstrum Nox does bring some good into the Ys universe, along with some setbacks, but in the grand scheme of things, it will buff out. But with that being said, let me answer the most important question of all. Was Ys 9 Monstrum Nox good? Yeah, it is fine, but it is not the game I would recommend to a newcomer of the series.
I believe you're now ready to hear what I have to tell you.
This better be worth the wait.